Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing great. This year has been pretty great for games. We've had some pretty unique and memorable experiences coming out, which has been great considering everything else that's going on in the world right now. But there's a few months left to 2021 and we still have some interesting games coming out. For today, I'll be going over some of the games I think will be worth checking out when they release. You'll have to let me know what games you're looking forward to playing in the comments, so let's start. Sable is a game that's interested me for quite some time. It's been a part of my Steam wishlist for as long as I can remember. It almost felt as if it would never come out, but I'm very much glad it'll see itself promoted from a Steam wishlist to purchased. With this trailer, you're immediately greeted with an art style that is absolutely gorgeous, and that was what initially hooked me. It's definitely unique, and it's refreshing to see a game try something different. Developed by Shedworks and originally revealed in 2017, it sees you take control of the titular hero Sable. You'll guide her through gorgeous stylized settings on a rite of passage and will encounter other fellow nomads along the way, while solving puzzles for rewards. The game features an original dreamy soundtrack which looks like it'll be one of the many highlights. I can already see this game being full of charm, and I really do hope it lives up to the hype I've created for myself over the years. Oxen 2 seemed to come out of nowhere. The first game was a great little experience that offered an interesting and isolated setting, with a story that boasted mystery by the bucket load, all alongside some really interesting characters that elevated it to what I think is an essential indie title. It's one I'd absolutely recommend to people who are after a story-rich horror experience, and Oxen 2 seems like it'll be no different. The sequel is set 5 years after the events of the first game and sees you take control of Riley, who returns home to investigate the mysterious signals you encountered in the first game. There hasn't been much said about this game so far, but it'll more than likely take you back to the setting in the first game. I'm excited to see if Night School Studio can live up to the quality of the first game. It would be easy to think that, as the game clearly shares a lot of what I liked about the first game. I'd recommend playing through the first game, as it'll more likely be essential to the plot. I'd also say go in as blind as possible. Life is Strange True Colors will be the fourth entry into the Life is Strange universe, after 1, 2 and Beyond the Storm. Much like its predecessor, it sees you take control of a brand new character in a new location. The Life is Strange series is very much centered around its characters, and True Colors looks like it'll be the same. It's definitely not a game for everyone, as its characters are usually very young and can come across as immature, which might irritate some. If you can look past that, you'll be rewarded with a story that's actually pretty great and progresses much like a TV show would, what with its episodic format. The previous entries in the series utilized the episodic format to release at different times, like a Telltale game, but luckily True Colors will move away from that format. The story and characters will absolutely be the focus here, and it looks like it'll deliver on a diverse cast of characters that we've seen in the trailers. Like I mentioned previously, this sequel will be revolving around a separate cast of characters, so playing the previous games won't be essential, but I'd recommend them nonetheless, as there's some great stories in there. Halo Infinite is surely one of the most anticipated games of 2021. It's had a pretty turbulent production over the past year or two. The game's announcement from last year led to some pretty harsh words from fans, justifiable to say the least. 343, however, took that feedback to heart and delayed the game, allowing for the game to be refined and polished. Hopefully, all of the extra work has paid off and will receive a game worthy of the Halo name. The story supposedly takes place after the events of Halo 5 and will wrap up the overhanging arc we've been playing through since 4. Honestly, this game feels like it's been in development forever, so we can only hope they've learned from what people disliked about Halo 5. One thing is for sure though, is that Halo Infinite will have a multiplayer that will keep people playing for some time, most notably because of it being made free upon release. Judging by the previews over the past weeks, it looks like it'll be a blast. I've been yearning for something new and as fun as Halo 2 and 3's multiplayer for years. The Dark Pictures anthology has been one of the more peculiar game releases over the past few years. It's heavily story-based, with co-op mechanics that deliver different experiences depending on how well you make decisions or react to events. House of Ashes looks like it'll be no different. The previous entry in the series, Little Hope, felt a little underwhelming due to its ending. It attempted to be a logical wrap-up to a story centered around the Salem witch trials, but fell short because every plot thread in the game pointed in every other direction. It just felt so cheap. With that said, I feel very hopeful that the developers Supermassive Games have learned from that and will deliver on a game that lives up to the promise of horror. The game itself takes place during the end of the Iraq War and sees special forces hunting down a weapon of mass destruction. The team discovers a temple deep underground and must come together with their enemies from the war to survive. On paper, this game sounds like it could be the best in the series yet. I'm very hopeful indeed. Definitely keep an eye on this one if you're after a good co-op experience. These games are a blast with friends. The final game on this list, Road 96, is a procedurally generated road trip through a dystopian landscape. Digix Art has created a game here which looks like it'll promise a unique experience every time you play. It'll be a non-linear experience through long open roads with narrative stops along the way that progresses and builds up the story. It's in a setting that's under the control of a regime, so I expect it'll offer something thought-provoking by the end, which is exactly what I want from a game. But I'd imagine that creating a narrative experience that changes through every game is a very difficult one to make, so hopefully this can deliver. The developer lists inspirations on the Steam page, which certainly promise a high standard to draw inspiration from, with the likes of Tarantino and the Coen brothers. This game certainly has my attention, and if it can draw the right qualities from those inspirations, especially through dialogue and story, it'll surely be a memorable experience. So yeah, these are the games that I'm most excited for releasing at the end of 2021. Let me know in the comments what games you're looking forward to releasing soon, and I will see you all soon. Take care.